The Illinois Family Institute is looking to build on momentum from their legislative victory earlier this year when they helped stop plans to approve Senate Bill 10, the homosexual marriage legislation planned for Illinois. IFI Executive Director David Smith hosted a breakfast for pastors and concerned citizens in Belleville with Scott Phelps and Greg Stanton speaking at the event. Smith says IFI plans to continue their efforts to oppose the legislation.
This year we've been fighting the attempt to redefine marriage, Senate Bill 10. It started basically in the Senate and was passed out of the Senate on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and then it went over to the House. But since it's gotten to the House, we've been able to raise grassroots opposition to the bill, especially the body of Christ, the Christian community, has risen up and spoke out against it and has really put enough pressure on our state lawmakers, even though there's 71 Democrats and 2 Republicans who support the bill, they still have not been able to get enough support to get 60 votes. They're still well short of that, and our plan is to continue to keep the pressure on so they can never gain the 60 votes they need to pass this bill into law, because it will go to the governor's desk, and he has already promised that he will sign it. So we need to stop it in the House if at all possible.
Phelps says he had a close relationship with IFI during his 9 years as a pastor in the Chicago area. He talks about feedback he received from a woman who attended a training seminar he gave in Boise, Idaho.
It was interesting to observe my own feelings as the material unfolded. I found myself remembering my teenage years in the sense that if I had this presented, I would have been empowered to stand for what I really wanted, to wait until marriage with the one God had for me. But I compromised and ended up being sexually bonded to my boyfriend and married him as the result. I knew I should not have, but I couldn't get out of it. Now, 4 marriages later, 3 abortions later, 2 children by different fathers, neither my current husband, I want to say thank you. You are changing lives, and your message would have changed my life. Your message will have an impact on my 14-year-old daughter's life. So again, I say thank you. And that's just one example of what I like to say is, ours are the stories that will not be told. Does that make sense? We don't want people to have to go through this and end up in the pastor's office.
Phelps says the facts about out-of-wedlock pregnancies and demographics may surprise people.
2/3 of quote-unquote teen pregnancies are college-age girls. That only 1/3 of teen pregnancies are actually high school-age girls. Now, if we compare high school-age teen pregnancies with the rest of the population, look at what we get. That 92% of the problem of non-marital pregnancy, non-marital birth is with the adult population. And if we break it down demographically, by the way, you're going to find that the Hispanic community is already over 50%. Most Hispanic children are already born out of wedlock. And look at the African American community. 72% of black children in America today are born outside of a marriage relationship.
Stanton says that when he talks to secular groups on college campuses, he acknowledges the bias that people may have.
I sawed my horns off just before I came in here. I'm going to glue them back on when I leave. You know, that's the kind of person that I am. And they're like, oh my goodness, he admitted he has horns. You know, I mean, they're just shocked.
He says homosexual behavior in relationships follows traditional roles for men and women. The breakup rate for homosexual women is twice that for homosexual men, but the rules for men are different and a little complicated.
You ask gay individuals, well, in your relationship, are you monogamous? And they say, well, what do you mean by that? And you're like, monogamous. 2 different definitions for them, okay? Let me explain this. Monogamy is we only have sex with one person, our partner. Fidelity is we honor the rules that we have worked out as a couple for extracurricular sexual activity. I mean, seriously. More than 50%, not all, but more than 50% of gay male relationships have such an agreement. And this Atlantic Monthly article talks about that.
Still, Stanton says it's a radical redefinition of marriage.
This is largely normal for gay male couples. Oh, we're not going to redefine marriage. The lesbians breaking up at tremendously high rates, and it's just how it works out. The gay men, you know what? We don't have to be faithful to our spouse. That, folks, is a radical redefinition of marriage. And it's just basic operating procedure. So do not believe that, well, we want to be just like you.
Smith says he has been encouraged by the efforts of congregations in the state to join him in the effort.
I am pleasantly surprised with the reaction of the church. The church has risen up, like I said. There's still a lot more that can be done in the church. I would say half the church is still asleep on this issue, and we need to wake it up and get it activated and into the public square.
But while support from grassroots church groups has been strong, Smith says he has been disappointed by the lack of Republican support in the state.
With the two Republican lawmakers that have come out in support of this piece of legislation, in fact, they have co-sponsored it, Representative Ron Sandak from Westmont and Representative Ed Sullivan from Mundelein. They're actually co-sponsors of this bill. You know, the leadership of the Republican Party in Illinois has been anemic. Let me put it that way. It's been poor. And they tend to run away from social issues, which is really problematic because this is the base of the Republican Party embraces pro-life, pro-marriage, and pro-family issues. And so the leadership has been bad on this issue, and therefore it's not a surprise you have a couple lawmakers who are following suit.
Alton pastor Danny Holloway talked about the effort to oppose legalizing marriage for homosexuals in Illinois. He testified before an Illinois House committee in February.
Be encouraged. It can be done.
That's right.
It can be done. God is just waiting on us.